The mute in the cage, asterisk, the market on Dralka Station was loud, dirty, and full of strange smells. Traders shouted over each other, selling creatures, machines, and things best not named. Jace Ward walked slowly through the chaos, his boots kicking up red dust. He wasn't there to buy anything. He was just passing time before his cargo ship refueled. But then, stopped. A metal cage sat in the shadow of a broken neon sign. Inside, huddled in one corner, was a Gurlan alien girl. She didn't beg, she didn't look up. Her knees were drawn to her chest, arms wrapped tight around herself. Her skin was pale lavender, covered in bruises and grime. Her hair, silver and tangled, fell over her face. She was silent, completely silent. "Hey, Jace," said, stepping closer. The trader sitting beside the cage laughed. "Don't waste time. Human. She's broken. Mute. Been like that since we found her. Can't talk. Can't work. Can't even scream." Jace frowned. "Where'd she come from?" The trader shrugged. "Found her in the ruins near the dead moons. Maybe she's some failed experiment. Or a slave that ran too far. Either way, useless. But still pretty. Good for display if you like statues." Jace didn't know why, but something about the girl made him pause. Her body was still, yes, but. Her eyes, hidden beneath strands of hair, weren't. They were wide, alert, and shining. She was watching him, studying him like he was the one in a cage. "How much?" Jace asked. The trader laughed louder. "You serious? Fine, give me 50. Credits." "She eats too much anyway." Jace didn't answer. He just reached into his jacket and dropped the credits. The cage opened with a rusty screech. The girl didn't move. "It's okay, Jace," said gently. "You're free now." It didn't react. But when he held out his hand, she looked at it, then at him, then slowly stood. She was barefoot, thin as paper. And still silent, Jace led her through the crowd, ignoring the stares and whispers. Some aliens chuckled. Others looked at him with disgust. But he kept walking. Back at his ship, a small freighter called Nomad Ray. Jace showed her the small bunk room near the engine bay. "You can rest here," he said. "You don't have to do anything, just be safe." Still no response. It's not even a nod. He left water and protein bars on the small table, then closed the door gently. For the next 3 days, she didn't speak. She drank a little, ate slowly, and sat near the heater vent with her knees to her chest. Jace didn't push her. He talked sometimes like things. About stars, ships, planets he'd seen. Just to let her know she wasn't alone. He gave her a name. "Nova," he said. "Because you're quiet like space, but something tells me you've got fire in you." No answer. Until one night, everything changed. Jace pretended to sleep in. The main control room, lights off. Just the hum of the engines and soft ticking of the heater. But then, he heard it, a faint sound, not words, a humming. It came from Nova's room. JAC didn't move. He just listened. It was soft at first, like a broken music box. But then, slowly, it turned into a pattern, a melody, beautiful, haunting, full of sadness. She was humming, alone, in the dark. Jace's eyes widened. She could make sound. She wasn't mute, but why pretend? He walked quietly to her door and peeked in. She was sitting by the wall, knees to her chest, her eyes closed. Her lips didn't move, but the sound was real. It filled the room like soft wind through trees. Her skin glowed faintly with every note barely visible. But there, Jace stared in shock. "Nova?" whispered. The sound stopped. She opened her eyes wide. Frightened, she didn't run. She just stared at him. Then slowly she turned her head away. Jace's heart pounded. Something was wrong here. She wasn't just a mute alien. There was something inside her, something powerful, afraid. He stepped back, quietly closed the door, and leaned against the wall, breathing heavy. She can sing. He whispered to himself, but why does she only do it when no one's listening? Asterisk. As Jace returns to the cockpit, the lights flicker for a moment, and the ship's AI whispers in a strange, glitchy voice. Unidentified vocal frequency detected. Restricted class. Shivers ran down his spine. Nova wasn't just any alien girl, and he had no idea what he just brought aboard asterisk. The lights on the Nomad Ray flickered again the next morning. Jace stared at the control panel, scratching his head. No damage, no power surge. Then why does the system keep glitching at night? He muttered. The only new thing on board, sir. Nova hadn't come out of her room since last night's humming. What? Jace didn't knock. He waited instead. He wanted her to come when she was ready. He spent hours fixing a broken coolant pipe in the lower bay, hoping the steady work would calm his nerves. But while tightening a loose bolt, he heard soft footsteps behind him. He froze, then turned. Nova stood there barefoot, wrapped in the oversized coat he had left for her days ago. Her silver hair fell to one side, and her violet eyes looked different today. Softer, less afraid. He didn't speak. Didn't want to scare her. Slowly, she walked closer and crouched beside him. Then without a word, she reached out and gently placed her hand on his. His breath caught, and then it happened. His mind filled with a flash of light, not real light memory. A vision. He saw her, running through a golden forest under two suns. She was laughing. Not just with her mouth, with her whole body. Her voice sang like wind chimes. Other voices joined hers, family maybe. They danced. They glowed. Then the scene shattered. Soldiers, chains, screams, and silence. Jace gasped, pulled his hand back. Nova fell to her knees, clutching her head, shaking. I'm sorry, Jace said, his voice shaking. I didn't mean to us. That real? Was that you? Nova didn't answer, but tears rolled down her cheeks. She didn't cry out. She didn't sob. She just leaked sadness, quietly, like her soul was leaking through her eyes. Jace handed her a cloth. You're not broken, he said. You were hurt. Nova looked at him, confused. Then she reached for a piece of paper and a broken stylus from the nearby shelf. Her hands trembled as she wrote slow, uneven strokes. They punished me for screaming. Jace stared at the words. His stomach turned. What kind of monster silenced someone for crying out? She wrote again. I screamed too loud. It broke things. He blinked. Broke? What? What do you mean? But Nova just dropped the pen. Then she pointed at the glowing crack in the wall. One he hadn't noticed before. He stood, walked to it, and placed his palm over the metal. It was warm, too warm. His eyes widened. Did your voice do this? Nova didn't move. She just looked away. Jace backed up slowly. Okay, he said. It's fine. You're safe here. You don't have to use it. Not if you don't want to. Nova looked surprised. Like no one had ever told her she had a choice. She nodded just once and turned to go back to her room. But something inside Jace refused to let the silence stay. Nova, want to talk again? Not just with memory or writing, but with your voice. She didn't turn, but her fingers tapped the metal wall gently. A rhythm, a song, just for soft taps then. Silence. That night, Jace couldn't sleep. He stared at the ship's ceiling, wondering what kind of being she really was. Mute? No. Silent by force. Maybe her voice held power. Maybe it could heal or destroy. He sat up and turned on the ship log's computer. He said, Show me history of species that use vocal frequency as energy or command source. The AI word. Searching. Please wait. While it loaded, Jace reviewed the sensor logs from the night before. Strange energy pulses had rippled through. The hull, unnatural, patterned, like coded signals, but made of sound. Playback last detected audio from subject room, he ordered. A soft hum played. Then a second layer. Then something else. Hidden sound under the music, almost like words. The computer translated, not safe, not yet, but he is different. Jace froze. He hadn't imagined it. She was speaking. Just, it's not inhuman. Language, not yet, suddenly. Red lights flashed. The ship's AI spoke again, this time cold and robotic. Warning, unknown transmission ping detected. Source, nearby vessel. Target, passenger life sign, designated Nova. Jace's face turned. Pale, someone had found her. And they were coming. The ship drifted through dark space, stars blinking like distant eyes. But inside Nomad Ray, it was too quiet. Jace sat at the control panel, reading the red alert logs again and again. Someone had pinged Nova's life sign. Not his ship. Just her. That meant they were looking for her specifically. But why? He turned and looked toward her room. She hadn't come out since last night. He stood, walked slowly through the hallway, and knocked once on her door. "No answer, Nova," he said. "Gently, I need to ask you something." Still silent, he opened the door slowly. She sat in the corner, hugging her knees. Her head was low. Her shoulders shook slightly, not from fear, but from pressure. Like something inside her was fighting to stay silent. "I'm not here to hurt you," Jace said softly. "But someone out there is searching. For you, just you. I need to know what you are." Nova didn't move, but then her hand slid out, and she pointed toward the center of the floor. Jace looked down. There, scratched into the metal, were symbols. He didn't recognize them at first, then realized they were ancient musical notations. "She's writing a song?" he whispered. Nova's hand moved again. She touched her throat, then the wall. Jace stepped forward. "Is that your language? Through vibration?" Nova slowly nodded. JACE opened a compartment and brought out a small, dated memory crystal universal translator module. "I've used this to decode alien dialects before," he said. "But it only works if it hears something," he offered. To her, Nova didn't take it. But after a pause, she closed her eyes and opened her mouth. No sound came, but the walls vibrated. The air in the room shimmered slightly. Then a pulse. Like a gentle wave, the translator crystal lit up. Jack stepped back, stunned that wasn't a song. That was information. Device began to speak in a flat voice. "We were a race of harmony. Our voices built cities, lit stars, calmed storms. But fear spread. They said we were dangerous, too powerful, too free. They cut our voices, bound our throats. Called it mercy." Jace stared at Nova. She was shaking now, her head down again. The translator continued, "I am one of the last. They caged my body and caged my song." Jace knelt beside her. "Nova," he said quietly, "who did this to you?" The crystal pulsed again, the Council of Quiet. They rule by silence. "Fear the resonant ones. My family's gone. My song was punished. I screamed when they killed my sister." That scream broke their command ship. Jace felt cold. She hadn't been punished for disobedience. She was punished for grief. "You were a child," he whispered, "and they hurt you for mourning." Nova looked at him for the first time that day. Her lips moved, just a little. No sound, but her eyes said everything. She was afraid of her own voice. Later that evening, Jace went through the ship's database. He pulled up files buried under years of forgotten conflict. "Resonant ones," he muttered. "Why does that sound like a myth?" He found a 10 ancient classified report. The resonants were once thought to be extinct. Their harmonic language could manipulate matter, bend energy, and control basic physics through frequency. Their voices could destroy or create. Too dangerous to exist. All survivors were hunted. He stared into the darkness. Nova wasn't a helpless mute girl. She was a living weapon, or a miracle, or maybe both. That night, he left the translator crystal on her floor and walked away. He didn't ask her to speak, he just gave her the chance. At 300 hours, the ship's lighting dimmed automatically. Jace lay in his bunk, half-dash asleep. Then he heard it, not from a speaker, not from a device, from the air itself. A sound so soft it could have been a whisper, or a dream. A single word, not in English, but not unknown. It meant something. The translator crystal on the floor flickered awake, then spoke. "Safe." Jace's eyes shot open. She had spoken, not through humming, not through memory spoken. He got up, hurried to her room. The door was already open. Nova stood in the middle of the floor, her back to him. Her long silver hair moved as if touched by wind that didn't exist. He stepped forward. But before he could speak, the emergency lights turned red. The ships screamed. Incoming vessel approaching. Code Black Stealth Class Tracker. Hostile. Intent confirmed. Jace froze. Nova turned around, her eyes glowing bright violet now, and then she spoke again. One word. A name. But it wasn't his. "Hey, they found me," she whispered. "He's here." The silencer. Blood ran cold. Who was the silencer? And why? Did even Nova tremble at his name? Asterisk, the enemy ship didn't come in. Fast, came in silent. No engines, no lights, just a dark shadow, gliding through space like a ghost. Jace watched it on the screen, heart pounding. "That's not a patrol ship," he said under his breath. "That's a hunter." Nova stood beside him, staring at the screen. Her glowing eyes had dimmed now, but her whole body was stiff like she was made of stone. She wasn't running, she wasn't hiding, but she wasn't ready either. "Is it him?" Jace asked. She nodded once. The name still echoed in his mind. The silencer. Jace had heard rumors in the darker parts of space. A man, or maybe not a man at all, who hunted resonance across the stars. No weapons, no crew, just one ship and one purpose. To erase voices. He turned to Nova. "You're not going back. Not while I'm alive." But Nova didn't answer. Instead, she touched the console and Jace's eyes widened. A memory no. A warning poured into his mind. The silencer. It's walking through smoke. Cities torn apart without a single shot fired. People choking. Falling, their voices stolen forever. He didn't kill with bullets. He removed sound itself. Jace gasped and fell back. He erases frequencies. That's how he destroys. Nova looked down. She tapped her chest, then tapped her throat. She had escaped once, but her voice had until now. Until Jace. The enemy ship sent no signal. No request to dock. Just a quiet, slow descent toward them. Jace powered up the Nomad Ray's shields, but something strange happened. The sound inside. His ship began to vanish. The hum of the engine gone. The air recyclers silent. Even his own breathing. Muted. Nova stumbled, clutching her throat again. Her fingers moved wildly, signing something. Jace grabbed a marker and tossed it to her. She wrote on the wall panel. He uses a sound cage. When it surrounds a ship, all noise dies, voice dies, power dies. Jace looked at the blinking warning. External frequencies decreasing by 60%, 70%. "We have to break the cage," he said. Nova pointed to herself. "No," Jace said. "You're not a weapon." But she looked at him, firm now. And for the first time, she opened her mouth and tried to speak. A crackling breath came out, rough, broken, like glass scraping metal, but still, sound. The ship's AI sparked back to life for a moment. Vocal pattern detected. Origin. Class, resonant. Nova held her throat and coughed, but the glow around her skin pulsed stronger. She stepped toward the center of the room and began to hum. The air shimmered. Sound. Returned just a little. Enough for the engines to cough. Back to life, enough for the enemy ship to notice. It stopped descending. And that's when Jace saw it. A figure appeared on their outer hull, standing tall, cloaked in black metal, head covered in a smooth reflective mask. No face. No eyes. But Jace felt him watching. The silencer. He walked through space like it was water. No. Airlock opened. No code was used. He just stepped through matter. Right onto the ship's bridge. Nova fell to her knees. Jace grabbed a wrench. Stupid. Useless, but it was all he had. "You're not taking her," he shouted. The silencer raised a single hand and suddenly Jace's voice vanished. Not muffled. Gone. His mouth moved. No sound came. Nova looked up, horror in her eyes. She screamed silently, reaching for him, but her body wouldn't move. Silencer spoke without speaking. Words echoed inside Jace's mind. She broke the order. She sang she must be caged again. Then he reached for her, but before his fingers could touch her, Nova's body lit up like a star, pure resonance. Jace felt it not with his ears, but with his bones. Her voice wasn't just sound, it was force, and suddenly, the silencer stepped back, his hand cracked, just a fracture in the metal glove, but it was enough. Jace rushed forward, tackled him not to win but to distract. Nova stood, shaking, eyes wide with tears, and then she sang, not loud, not long, just one note. But that one note shattered every light on the ship. The silencer collapsed to one knee, his mask sparking, cracking open just slightly. Inside, not a face, but wires, a machine, an echo. Nova fell backward into Jace's arms, her voice silent, again but her eyes full of fire. She had struck the one who silenced her, and he wasn't finished yet. But now, neither was she. Jace had never seen a machine bleed light until now. The silencer knelt on the floor of the Nomad Ray, his cracked mask leaking glowing blue threads from within. Sparks hissed from his neck, tiny arcs snapping with every twitch of his fingers. But still, he didn't fall. He rose slowly, unshaken, as if her voice had only scratched the surface. Nova lay beside Jace, gasping, her skin dim now, no glow, no hum, no warmth. Her song had stopped, not because she wanted it to, but because it had cost her. She tried to speak again, but this time, nothing came. Not even a breath. Her lips moved in panic. Jack held her shoulders. It's okay. It's okay, Nova. You did it. You stopped him. Just rest. But she shook her head. Her eyes said one thing. It's not over. The silencer stood upright again, head tilted. His mask adjusted, revealing a small, shifting black orb behind the glass. No eyes, just a pulsing core. And then he spoke, a voice with no sound. She sang the forbidden tone. Resonance level 3. This unit must adapt. Panels on his back opened. Thin antennae extended. A low hum filled the ship. But not from Nova. From him. He was learning her frequency, and he would use it. Jace realized the horrifying truth. The silencer didn't just erase voices. He absorbed them. He became what he silenced. Jack pulled Nova behind a control console and tapped into the auxiliary system. He was trying to overload the lights. Come on, he whispered. Nova tugged his sleeve, shaking her head. She pointed. At herself, then at the ship's floor. Then, she traced a symbol with her finger. Circle, a line through it, then a spiral. Jace recognized it. It matched a strange marking hidden in the ship's deep software. He had always ignored it. Thought it was junk code, but Nova looked at him now with fierce eyes. She tapped the floor again. Jace opened the system panel. Nomad Ray, activate unknown subroutine, circle line spiral. The AI paused. Then, it spoke in a tone Jace had never heard before. Resonant core system, unlocked. The pulse swept through the ship. The lights dimmed, then turned golden. The walls began to vibrate, not from damage but like they were responding. Jace stared. This ship, it was built around resonant tech? Nova nodded weakly. She touched the floor again, and this time it lit up beneath her hand. Her voice had been quiet before, barely whispers, hums. But now, the ship sang back, a harmonic feedback. It wasn't loud, it wasn't aggressive, it was pure. The silencer froze, his mask twisted, then he screamed. A terrible, screeching static cry full of digital rage and fear. This unit was never meant to feel. Nova stood barely. She pressed her palm against the console and spoke. Only one word. But this time, the ship repeated it. Together, return. The resonance slammed into the silencer like a tidal wave. Of light, his body twisted, armor cracking, limbs folding inward. He wasn't just being defeated, he was being sent back. Jace stared as the ship created a pulse. Corrida fold in space opening behind the silencer. A prison. A memory? Or maybe the place where broken sounds were buried. The silencer reached for Nova one last time, but his hand shattered midair, and then was gone. Gone into a crack in space. Gone into silence. The ship fell still. Nova collapsed. Again, Jake caught her. "Nova!" he shouted. "You did it! Nova, stay with me!" Her skin flickered. Her lips trembled. She reached for his collar, pulled herself close, for the first time since he met her. She spoke clearly. Her voice was soft, shaky but beautiful. "My name is not Nova." Jace blinked. "What?" She smiled. Tears in her eyes. "It's Alira, daughter of the choir." Last of the true voice. Then her eyes closed. The AI spoke again, quiet, serious. "Warning. Planetary scans detect harmonic signals awakening across quadrant. The song has returned. Others may now hear it." Jace held her tightly, heart racing. If she had awoken the ship, what else had her voice just awakened? Asterisk the silence after the silencer's fall didn't feel like peace. Felt like the breath before a storm. Jace stood on the bridge, staring at the star map. New signals were lighting up soft pings, barely there, like distant echoes returning after years of stillness. The ship's AI struggled to define them, detected harmonic frequencies matching extinct resonant patterns. Origin, multiple. Systems, sector-wide. Nivono, Alira resting in the ship's medbay. Her skin had returned to its pale lavender hue. Her chest rose and fell slowly, her voice still quiet. But her presence stronger than ever. She had said her true name, not whispered, not in dreams. She had spoken, and now the galaxy was answering. Jace walked into the medbay. Lyra's eyes opened before he spoke. She sat up slowly, pain in every movement, but purpose in her gaze. "You okay?" he asked. She nodded once, then lifted her hand, pressed it against the wall. The ship responded, instantly light weaving through the metal, like threads of gold under her fingers. "What is this?" Jace asked. "What did we activate?" She took a breath, then touched her chest voice, then pointed outward, -galaxy, then lifted 2 fingers connection. Jace leaned back. "You didn't just fight the silencer, you reconnected something." She picked up a stylus and wrote on the side panel, "Resonant code was sleeping." This ship was one of our arcs. Jace's jaw tightened. "You mean this old freighter was once a... what? A resonant escape ship?" Alira nodded. "Our ancestors stored language power in ships, spread across stars, hidden, waiting." I blinked. "You unlocked it. That's why your voice made the ship sing back." Alira touched her lips. "Not just mine," she whispered. He stared at her. "What do you mean?" She turned the panel and wrote again. "Others will awaken." My voice was a key, but there are more. Suddenly the comm system pinged. Not a standard alert, but a tone. A soft, perfect tone, 3 notes rising like dawn. Incoming encrypted transmission. Language. Harmonic dialect. Origin. Unknown. Jace opened the channel. A faint image appeared, blurry, flickering. It wasn't a face. It was light and rhythm. A voice without shape. But Alira stood fast, staring at it like a ghost had returned. Then the message came, translated slowly by the ship's AI, to the one who sang again. "We hear you. We are waking." Alira stepped forward. Her hand trembled. She whispered, "The choir lives." But before an answer came, another signal jammed the line. It's one sharp, brutal, buzzing with command code. Jace snapped to the controls. Someone's trying to block the message again. Ship's lights flickered. Static hissed. The stars outside shifted. Then, a fleet emerged from the dark. Black ships. Silent drives. No insignias. But Jace recognized the build. "Council ships," he said. "These are the ones who wiped out your people." Alira didn't blink. She stepped forward, lifted both hands, and sang. This time, the song wasn't hidden. It rang through the ship, through the vacuum, through them, the lead. Council ships stopped moving. Jace checked the readings. "They're hesitating," the ship's AI confirmed. "Multiple hostile vessels scanning for source of harmonic." confused, awaiting orders. Jace turned to her. They don't know what to do. Lyra wrote a single word on the panel. Speak. Me. Jace blinked. She nodded. You want me to speak to them? She gestured again, this time pointing at his chest. Not just to speak, to stand, to represent, to amplify what she began. Jace swallowed, opened a broad frequency channel. He spoke into the mic, his voice calm but steady. This is Captain Jace, Ward of the Nomad Ray. I stand with the voice you tried to erase. I saw what you called danger sand. I call it beautiful.
Ouch!
She is not your property. She is not your weapon. She is free. And she is not alone anymore. Silence. Then the message repeated on every channel across all frequencies. The Council. Ships backed off, slowly, quietly, but not in fear. In recognition, they had heard the impossible. The song that should not exist. Now did. Just as the fleet began to turn away, the AI buzzed. New signal. Unknown source. Incoming fast. Non-council. Non-resonant. Power signature off the scale. Jace looked at Alira. She turned pale and whispered, That's not a song. It's a counter-harmony. Something was coming. Something designed to destroy all sound, even hers. The signal grew stronger by the second, louder than sound, darker than silence. It wasn't just noise. It was anti-song. Alira gripped the side of the console, her breath shallow. Her skin, which once shimmered with inner light, was now dimming. Again fighting something unseen, Jace stared at the main screen as a shape tore out of folded space, not flying. But unraveling from the void itself, it looked like a ship, but also like a living storm. Its hull pulsed with jagged frequencies. Where Alira's voice brought harmony, this thing screamed in chaos. What is that? Jace asked, eyes wide. Alira spoke barely above a whisper. It's called the dissonant.
Us.
Turned to her. You've seen it before? She nodded. Built by the Silent Lords. After they failed to erase us. This is not a hunter. It's the end of voices. The dissonant pulsed again. Waves of anti-frequency flooded the airwaves. The Nomad Ray shook as light dimmed, and the walls vibrated unnaturally, not from power loss, but from rejection. Even the AI glitched, core resonance, destabilizing. Lyra fell to her knees. Her voice, her gift was being unwritten. Jace caught her. You're not fading, he whispered. Not now. Not after everything. He looked up, thinking fast. The ship had once answered her call. The arc system buried deep in its core had awakened. It had power, ancient resonant technology. He pressed his palm to the control panel. Ship, he said, can you record? And amplify her frequency? Affirmative, the AI replied. But user vocal pattern is unstable. Harmonic degradations. Fair. She can't do it alone, Jace said, looking down at her. But I can help. He lifted Alira in his arms. Carried her to the Ark's core chamber, the center of the old systems, long sealed and forgotten. The door opened as if it had been waiting. Gold-lit circuits traced the walls like ancient veins. Floating crystal. Pillars hummed quietly. Jace placed her in the center. She looked at him weakly. Her voice no longer a whisper but a breath. You'll break. He shook his head. Maybe, but so what? You sang alone your whole life. It's my turn now. He stepped into the resonance chamber. The AI voice echoed around them. Begin harmonic link. Syncing user neural patterns. Syncing emotional tones. Syncing voice. And then Jace began to speak. Not in words, but in memory. He remembered the market. The cage. The girl who didn't beg. He remembered the soft hum in the dark. The first time she touched. His hand, the tears in her eyes when she said safe. And the look on her face when she spoke her name. The chamber glowed. The ship responded. He responded. And then, through him she sang again, her voice amplified by his memory. His strength, his defiance shot into the void like a spear of light. The dissonant roared, its shape twisted in pain. But it wasn't just Lyra's voice anymore. Across the quadrant, t'others began to sing, faint voices, new voices, lost voices. The choir was waking. The wave of harmony clashed with the dissonance anti-song in a storm of energy that lit up the stars. The nomad ray's hull held barely. Vibrating with forces older than war, Jace gritted his teeth as the pressure built. The frequency, he shouted to Lyra, now sitting up inside the chamber, placed her hand over his. Together they screamed light. The dissonance split down the middle, not shattered, not destroyed, unmade. Its frequency enwritten by the power of connection. Silence. Followed, but not the same kind. It was a silence earned later. In the quiet hangar of a peaceful station, Lyra stood with bare feet on real ground. The light of twin suns warmed her skin. She looked over the green fields and began to hum softly. Children nearby stopped to listen, then joined in. Their voices rose together, imperfect, unsure, but free. Jay stood behind her. He didn't say much. He didn't need to. She turned to him, smiling gently. "You didn't save me, Jace," she whispered. "You heard me. That was enough. Let them hear you now. Ask them hear you now." As their voices drifted into the air, far above the planet's orbit, an old probe flickered to life. Deep in forgotten space, something ancient stirred. A ship, buried beneath moons, and inside it, a resonant crystal began to glow. The song had returned, and the stars were listening.